Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Beyond Day One. In the Beyond Day One podcast, we're talking about helping people move from one place of success to the next by gaining the essential skills necessary to
Mhm.
have professional and, quite frankly, personal success. We're focusing on leadership, we're focusing on soft skills, and a few other things that are designed to both help leaders and to help Gen Z thrive and young professionals thrive in their workplace. And this week, we're going to connect some dots because we've been talking over the last few weeks about soft skills. And we've also been talking about the transformational leader. And it occurred to me that the leader that Gen Z needs is the transformational leader. And there's a bunch of reasons why. But in order to have that conversation, I've brought some help along with me. Today, I've got Lynn with me and I've got Philip with me. And we're going to have this conversation just a little bit and talk about why the transformational leader is the leader that Gen Z has been looking for. And you guys, over the last couple of weeks, we've talked about so many things about the transformational leader, about his awareness of individuality, but also his ability to coach and lead and to have vision and to see people and to connect the dots and connect people. And as I look at some of the things that I recently got a survey, I'm going to just pull it up really quickly if I can. And in it, it talked about things that Gen Z was concerned about and some of their or they're frustrated with. And some of the things that they list are things like a lack of mentorship or development guidance, that they
Mm,
feel underappreciated or have a lack of recognition, that there's a toxic or rigid corporate culture, their poor mental health support, and how when they're applying for jobs, they get ghosted, their scams, their recruitment frustrations, unclear future or poor career paths, and then the rapid change instability due to some of the tech disruption that's happening with AI and other things. And then finally, the silos and poor connection with leadership and the mission.
mm,
And so when I looked at that and kind of saw what their frustrations were, I couldn't help but think that a good transformational leader helps to bridge the gap from those problems to some of their solutions and answers. And I think one of the areas that I kind of want to focus on is that if you're going to hire someone who is Gen Z or a young professional in your work environment, and quite frankly, can I be honest? If you're going to hire anybody in your workplace, one of the things that you have to consider is the concept of who's going to mentor that person, whether it's short term to get them onboarded. And when I say onboarded, I'm not talking about the HR onboarding program. We know that your HR typically has an onboarding program and you walk people through the process and get them from point A to point B to understand some things about the culture of the job and what's going on at the workplace and what your expectations. I'm talking about that gets them beyond that, that says, now that you're sitting here at this desk, here are the unwritten rules, the etiquette of the job that we may not have shared with you, but are the real things that you really need to know. And they need mentors and people in place. And I think that any smart leader is going to either themselves be that mentor or person that bridges that gap or assign people within the team to help be a part of that mentorship concept or process. What do you guys think about that? Is that kind of far fetched, or what is your thought, Lynn?
Now, I think that's a good approach. The job that started my career with the gas company was customer service rep. And they paired me with someone to understand how they wanted me to talk with the customers, how they wanted me to do different things. And because I knew those things, when it was time for me to branch off and go for others, I knew the importance of sharing the skills that I had learned, sharing all of the other details of the things that I knew, because that first person they put me with help me understand how all the people worked in that department with each other, as well as what the expectations were with our outside customer. I think it's invaluable.
What's your thought, Phil?
I think that it's critical for you to have some sort of a human connection right off the bat with the company that you're joining. And that can only be done through, like you're saying, some type of a mentor, somebody that's there to kind of walk you through the steps of understanding your job. Because most of us, when we get hired on somewhere, the natural question you're going to end up asking is, how am I doing? Like
Right.
you may
That's
have
true.
given me a list of tasks. You may have given me some things that, oh, okay, well, here's your job description. And let's say you even start me off on the path to doing my job. I'm going to have that question sooner or later as I'm, getting busy about my work. It's like, how am I doing? If I don't have anybody helping me to measure or figure out if I'm hitting metrics or not, then I'm going to feel unstable already in that job, and I won't have the confidence that I need to know, okay, I can continue in the things I'm doing well and fix the things that I'm not doing well. But if I don't have any clue from anyone as to how I'm doing, that's going to be a major hindrance to my progress.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's got me thinking back to an organization that I consulted with. And one of the things we were talking about was replacing a leader that had left with a new person. And that individual had all of the right technical skills, or as we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, they had all the right hard skills. The problem was is that they were going to need some of the leadership skills that were necessary in order to succeed. And inevitably, the only way she was going to get that is through the proper connection and mentorship by her boss. But the nature of their business was that they were so multi-hatted in the organization that the boss really didn't have time to mentor her and bring her along, which meant ultimately they were going to drop her in a seat and she was just going to have to figure some things out. And from
Mhm.
time to time, he'd be able to input some. And I
Yeah.
said, this is not good.
Mhm.
This ultimately isn't going to be your best outcome. Ultimately, they made the decision to do it because they felt like they didn't have any other choice. And so, what we saw, having dealt with that situation for a little bit of time after that, was her struggle to come up and to transition from the worker bee who had all of the right hard skills to this leader bee who needed to now be able to spread work around to different people, understand that she would need to be a mentor to her team, and which means she was going to have to up her skill level. And so she struggled for a long time. And ultimately, the only thing that saved her was because they changed the function of the department. And consequently, she moved into a different role. But she was on her way to a disaster, in my opinion, because she lacked that sense of a mentorship that would have helped to get her over the hill from the beginning. And
Yeah.
I think we see that a lot. And I'm telling you that this concept of mentorship amongst your staff, and particularly amongst young professionals in Gen Z, it actually helps deal with some of those other frustrations that we talked about down the list because there's always somebody there to connect and bridge that gap. Would you agree with that, Philip?
Yeah, 100%. Having that person there that can kind of be of an intermediary between
Mhm.
the faceless corporation and the new person coming on. It provides that human connection that I think everybody needs. I'm kind of old school in that way. I don't know that I'm not saying that technology is not the right way to go, but I always think there has to be some kind of human connection there for anybody coming on board to really get a feel for the culture of the company and just to have a better sense of the mission and the vision of that company. It's expressed better through the people that work there versus just, okay, well, here's the products we put out, here's the services we offer, and that type of thing. So yeah, I'd say 100% we got to have that connection right off the bat.
Yeah. How about for you, Lynn?
Well, I think I agree. I think that one-on-one is even better if you can do it in a peer relationship. to the point where you are assigned to someone maybe a week. And it's not so much that you are shadowing them and you're with them, but there's someone that can answer that question of why do we do it this way? Who do I go to for such and such? You've got the resource on your same level. If that person happens to be the manager, as a new employee, I'm not going to want to ask all of those questions because I don't want them to get the impression they've made a bad hire. They're going to think I'm not capable of doing this job. Whereas if I have someone that I can just casually ask, do the work they've hired me for, but know that somewhere down the hall, next door in the cubicle, wherever they are, there's someone that I can ask that can tell me where to go to get the answers that I need. And I think that having that person there gave me a sense of comfort, but it also helped me to put together the structures to be successful in the setting.
Yeah. And one last thing I'll say about this is mentorship is part of the concept of team building. Because
Mhm.
once you assign somebody a mentor, you hopefully are building a connection that helps to bridge other connections within the team. And ultimately, as you're going into meetings and doing other things, you now have some, at least, I don't want to say friendships, but connectivity built so that you guys are working together collectively as a team. And there's value in that and there's benefit in that. I, was reading some comments this week about the concept of how transformational leadership leaves out teamwork. Absolutely not. Transformational leadership is
Mhm.
partially built on teamwork because the transformational leader has to realize he can't do it all him or herself. The more of others in the team that are a part of the winning picture, the better for everybody. Any final thoughts, Lynn or Philip?
Yeah, can I throw something out there? Because I think that mentorship does more than help the new hire. I think that when you put together a mentorship program, you're teaching them how to be a manager. You're teaching them
Mm,
how to answer questions, how to delegate. You're helping them on their career path as they succeed and go forward. I think that as a manager, choosing someone to mentor a new hire and choosing someone else the next time when a new hire comes in, you're teaching them how to share, how to delegate, how to help, how to that mentoring just puts them in a place to be promoted to the next level. So you're setting your department up to be successful just because you've got that leadership starting within your own department.
no, that's good, Lynn. I agree. Philip?
I I've nothing to add to that. I think I couldn't have said it better myself. That was
Nailed it.
perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, that's going to wrap up this episode of Beyond Day One. I also just want to remind you we've built a course that we think is going to help, particularly your Gen Z and young professionals in your office. It's called Beyond Day One Essential Skills for Workplace Success. And one of the things that it does that's so important for your work environment is it communicates the etiquette of the office space. It helps young professionals to learn and know certain standard expectations of them around the work environment, from being timely to attire, even digging into how to handle and both giving and receiving feedback, how to ask for help, how to communicate, whether it's email or verbally, how to live and succeed in meetings, and a few other things that we think you'll find helpful for your environment. You can take a look at this now by going to the link in the description below, and we know that this course is going to benefit your team greatly. Until next time, I'm David, she's Lynn, he's Philip, and we're out.